Oh, it's like 45 out. Whoa,
where's my parka?
Where's my winter coat?
So I think Ernest is right. He just gave us a real admonition that if there's a chance for a fast coin, but I'm certainly not sure. And I don't have a pin. And so he said, no, go for the pin first. Pin's a 7-second run. So I make sure that I get my hits. Give me 2 extra seconds. So I'm gonna listen to him. I'm just gonna make sure that I get all my hits and go with no hitches. And let's see how we do.
The drill here is draw from retention, i.e. SLS hood, ALS, and SERPAs, stuff like that don't count. Has to have some sort of hood, or concealment. 2 shots to the head to a slide lock reload, reload the gun, and then 4 shots to the body. The head is the head 3x5 box here, and this is the body. Touching the scoring ring counts. Okay, so we're scored just like normal NRA or IDPA, anything else. 2 here, 4 here. If you're in the gray or you miss the head box, you're not playing anymore. So don't worry, it's over. Okay, we don't have to worry about, wow, what's my score? It just doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, so that's 522. Little bit slow on my first shot, looks like. So I'm just a hair over, okay? So did not make it. Clean though, I'd rather have clean than make the time and drop and miss. All right, so this time I'm gonna shoot it again, the attempt for a hat pin run, okay? And show you guys the difference in the time. Okay, 637, and again, clean, but big. I mean, it probably looked significantly slower, right? It's only about a second slower. That's a long second. All right, John, deep breath. Stand by. 567. I'm sorry, 667.
I'll take 667. I was after a
hat pin, huh?
That's what I was after today.
There you go. Very good.
667. Purposefully went slow, but I made my hits. Life is great. Got a hat pin today. Life's good. Many thanks to MagTech Ammunition for sponsoring today's video. It's the only ammunition that goes through my pistols or rifles and is the best stuff on the range. Ernest, I know we're in the midst of a training day today. For a long time there, you weren't teaching classes again, yeah?
Yeah, I have been, I bet a full year has never gone by without me teaching a class.
Okay.
But I shut it down pretty hard there for a while, just because I just didn't have the time to do it, and
Right.
It wasn't necessarily something that I needed to do. I always kind of did it, even when I worked for Smith & Wesson for a while, when I worked in the robotics industry. I always call it like guerrilla marketing. So if the customer, because I was doing military sales, if the customer wanted a class, the customer got a class.
Sure. So, but now 2019, what's the plans? You gonna teach a few? You gonna teach a bunch?
I have a few on the schedule. I've got a new format that I'm going to be launching next year on an advanced class, a 3-day advanced class. It's going to include a night shoot. There's no prerequisites for it, so it'll be the whole kind of, everything. So I'm doing quite a few of those next year, but I am doing probably fewer classes in 2019 than I did this year. I'm gonna back down a little because
you got a huge backload at work, right?
Yeah,
to make guns.
That's right. The business side of things with working on guns, doing trigger work and product development and the consulting side of things, that is taking a large chunk of time, and I don't want to neglect that so that I can come on the range and have fun. And all that.
Isn't that the crazy thing? Because so as a trainer, I can tell you when I go teach classes, you'd think, well, this is a lucrative enterprise as well, but it's really not. You're not making a whole lot of money. No. It's passing on knowledge for the sake of the love of the game and helping people, but you wish you made enough money. The guys who do it full time and that's their only job, I don't know how they do it.
Well, they're doing it almost every weekend.
Yeah.
They've got to be on the road constantly and teaching classes. And the ones that are good at it, logistically, are good at all the scheduling and staying caught up with all the people that host classes. And that's whether it's an individual that's hosting an open enrollment class or whether it's an agency. It's the guy that's bringing them in. I mean, you just constantly got to be following up with all that to keep those classes full. So it's a full-time job, just keeping all those classes full so that you can teach them full-time. It's a lot of work.
So when you're teaching an open enrollment class like this, not an LE, not a mill, an open enrollment class like this, what would you say is the number one thing students have to work on coming in?
Coming in?
Yeah, I mean, when they show up to class, and when you're looking at class and you go, this class, generally speaking, is going to need X.
Well, so from a shooting standpoint, the number one thing that everybody needs to work on the most is trigger control, right? I mean, properly manipulating the trigger is always the thing. But I kind of feel like those are two different questions because I get a broad variety of skill levels of students that come into the class. I mean, from, we've got a pretty strong class that's going.
Yeah, it's a good group. I mean, everybody's keeping up.
And some of them are new students that have not been to a class before and they're doing really, really well. But before you go to your first class like this, like a 2-day class, there's a lot of like essential skills training probably ahead of time.
Okay.
Properly gripping the gun, or at least somewhat gripping the gun, good gun handling skills, loading and unloading, muzzle awareness, drawing the gun, and being able to shoot groups at a decent level of accuracy.
Right.
Not one whole groups, or anything like that. But I mean, if you're having a hard time just maintaining, let's say a 3-inch group at 5 yards, you're probably not ready to jump into a 2-day long class.
Right.
Right. You need to kind of work your way, into a little higher level of marksmanship because it takes time. It's not just, you go to this class, you're going to come out of, stone cold killing machine or something.
I mean, and you were saying earlier today too that the vast majority of people need to work on manipulating the trigger. I mean, if you can do that, if you can put the bumpy things on the target and press the trigger straight to the rear without disturbing it, bullet's going to go where it belongs, right?
It's the thing you heard me say earlier in the class. There's really only 3 things happening. You have to find the target, align the gun on the target, and then hold it there till it goes bang. Everything else is some sort of technique to support that. And if you can do those 3 things and make that happen in the amount of time that it needs to happen, because we're talking about defensive shooting, if you will, then great. All right?
Rock and roll.
The whole point is, let's get you to be able to do that better and faster because you actually don't know how much time you have.
So we also ran a competition. So I know obviously you a national and world champion competitor, but you ran a couple of them. We ran one for a hat yesterday, which was a 6 shots freestyle reload, 6 shots strong hand reload, 6 shot support hand. And then today we ran the fast test. And tell me, why do you like to do that in class? I mean, because everybody's watching, right? You alone and on yourself on the timer.
Yeah. So it's very important because as I mentioned in the classroom portion yesterday morning, the outside stressors, social stressors, have a very similar physiological reaction on your body as the threat of physical harm. So having your peers standing around and let's see what you got puts a significant amount of stress on people. And if you've not done that before, we see all kinds of things happen. Once that timer goes beep, as Pat McInerney says, a little bit of poop comes out. It is a significantly stressful event. So I believe a little bit of competition where people are isolated gives them
that kind of amped up feel,
a level of stress, so that they kind of understand what we're doing. And as you've seen, I mean, the drills get progressively more complicated and more difficult. And as I mentioned, the whole goal is to be able to do this stuff without having to think about grip, stance, trigger control, all that other kind of stuff, because you're not going to be able to, in my opinion, think about grip, stance, trigger control when someone's trying to kill you.
Well, and so this morning, you guys know Scott Jedlinski, my shooting coach. I told him this weekend, I was like, look, Jedi, if I'm gonna, he goes, John, you gotta just shoot for a fast coin, man, go for it. And I was like, Bro, I gotta get everything perfect. Like if the skies part, the sun shines, the angels sing, my reload's perfect, I could probably do it. And then this morning you were like, get a hat pin first. Just get that first.
Right.
And then that way, because you don't want to go home with nothing, right?
Right. Yeah, and that is kind of thing. And you shot real strong. You got a hat pin, and there's only 3 out of the 15 people in the class or whatever got one. So it's not a give me. It's not like, oh yeah, it's a chip shot.
I would say though that the difference between a pin and a coin is like an order of magnitude. I mean, it's not like, okay, so it's a 5-second par for a coin, a 7-second for a hat pin. It's not like, oh, it's 20% harder. No, it's like an order of magnitude.
Order of magnitude. Yeah.
There's a reason there's only like 18 fast coins in the world.
Nobody made it today, including myself. I was a little over time.
We did have a student 504.
504.
Clean.
Really close.
Oh, this far. Yeah. This far. Well, what are we going to finish up the day with?
We have quite a few drills left to do. Most of them are going to be kind of finishing things up from a marksmanship standpoint. We got to do use of cover. Talk about that a little bit. Shooting in and around cover. We have to do some one-handed manipulation type stuff. So we got quite a few things that we got to finish up the day with.
One last thing I want to say with Ernest on camera is I know your ethic of demonstration is the same as mine, which is the teacher should be able to demonstrate pretty much on command what he's asking his or she is asking their students to do. And you stepped up yesterday and ran super fast, ran this morning at, well, I mean, cold. You hadn't shot, you hadn't done all the warm-up drills with us and ran what, a 5.24 fast drill clean, something like that?
Yeah.
Low 5, just something like that.
I bobbled a little bit.
But I'm right in you saying you think an instructor should be able to demonstrate defensive marksmanship before their students.
I think they need to be able to demonstrate. I don't think they need to be perfect or flawless, but they need to be able to demonstrate, and they should demonstrate. Because if you don't, first of all, there's a credibility issue there. They're not going to learn as much as they can learn from watching because most people are visual learners. You have to clarify what the expectation is, right?
Right, to show.
Yeah, exactly. So they know what that drill is supposed to be and what they should be working on. And so, yeah, I think that you should be able to demonstrate and that you should demonstrate.
You threw a shot or two today. I mean, because you're going really fast, faster than we needed to go. And, I'm never perfect when we're doing it, but at least stepping out there and being willing to and being able to show, hey, this is what we do. And I think it's gutsy because, again, you haven't been shooting for the last 2 days. You haven't gone through several hundred rounds. You're not super warm, but you're like, all right, well, let's do it and see how we do today.
Right.
Awesome. Let's get back to training.